Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is a debrief slash reaction slash mindset of myself of what I've been gathering my thoughts after the Bruges game. I was up to the early hours just thinking about Villa, thinking about what's going on because my brain just lives, breathes, eats, sleeps Aston Villa. So this episode wasn't planned to happen this morning. I've got quite a busy day today. And I've got lots of Liverpool content already ready to go. And it is going to go out. But I just got some stuff I need to get off my chest. And this platform really allows me to get it off my chest. So I had a bit of a rant last night because I was frustrated, annoyed, just disappointed with the way that we applied ourselves in Belgium against Club Bruges. The performance again was disappointing, and all night, and I've just been thinking, why? Why is that the case? So I've come up with a couple of areas that I think may be part of the problem, which is affecting us a little bit. And I think it's to do with the shape. I think it's to do with tactics. I think it's to do with mindset. And when I'm talking about tactics, I'm not blaming Emery. I'm looking at the tactical shape within the game. So what the players are being asked to do. But then I do think there is another slight problem with rotation. And a lot of you will know that we all know now that football isn't just an 11. It's not just 11 players that go out on the pitch week in, week out. There is rotation. There's rotation with subs. There's rotation with a couple of players. But my main point about the rotation, and this is probably one of my main points, is that I think we're rotating a bit too much. I think we're trying to be a bit too protective and a bit too clever, I think. And I think that there needs to be a core base for now. And because I kind of feel like at times we don't why are we rotating? Are we rotating because of we're thinking about fatigue? We're thinking about a build-up of games, and we're thinking about the running of games. And I think that's okay. That's okay to be cautious because we had a lot of injuries last year, and that's fine. But I think sometimes it's got to be one rotated player or two maximum. But what's happening is that we are rotating a player, but then we're also moving players around the system a little bit. So if we go to the starting lineup, I think I've got the start. So I've got the starting lineup on the screen now, right? So we'll have a look at the starting lineup from last night. And so we've got Maatsen came in from Spurs. We've got Mings came in from Spurs. And we've got Carlos has come in from Spurs because the back four against Spurs was Digne, it was Pau, it was Konsa, and it was Cash. So with Cash's injury, okay, we've had to bring in Carlos. Konsa's had to go at right back. Mings has come in, which was a bit of a surprise. High profile game like Champions League. And then we've seen Maatsen come in. So we're already talking about the back four. When was the last time that back four played together? And the answer is never. I don't think it's played together. So that's a slight concern there because we know the spine and we know you need a settled back four. So that back four hasn't really played together, has it? So you've got two players on the left-hand side that need to build up a bit of a relationship. And Carlos and Konsa have done it, but we know what's going on there at the minute. So that's okay. Okay, fair enough. We then brought in Boubacar Kamara and we've took out Onana. But then we've also moved Rodgers from alongside Watkins and put him on the left. We've then moved McGinn from the right and put him off Watkins. So within this team, there's so much rotation. And it's got to be a slight issue, really, to the way the cohesion, the partnerships, the patterns, the integral link up between those players. Can it feel a bit like an understanding problem? Because that's how it feels to me. Like I mentioned last night, that one of the things I said was, why are we not looking like an Unai Emery team? Now, is this one of the problems, that the amount of rotation and movement in there? So I think that is a fundamental factor within what's going on here. There's not a settled 11. So do we need to go back and be a bit more settled and not rotate as much? I don't know. Villa fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I've just come up with this idea in my head and I want to get it off my chest. So some may agree, some may disagree. So the rotation thing, I think is something. And then we go with a game plan in the second half where we're taking off McGinn and we're bringing on Duran. Now, I'm thinking about this as well. Now, if these two players are getting vast amount of chances and it's free-flowing Aston Villa, crosses going in, cutbacks going in, through balls going in, then that's fine. But if we're being starved of any service, then these two cannot be in the same team together, because what we need from this player who's playing off the striker is to be dropping in and having that creativity in and around this area. That is, I think, is a slight problem. Now, I think Rodgers plays this role really, really well. But again, I've also mentioned that either side of that double pivot. So if we're going to say this is Rodgers, we're going to bring in Ramsey. So Ramsey on the left. I've spoke about this before, that we need more creativity there and we need more creativity out wide. Now, when this was Diaby would sometimes switch around slightly and you'd have that link up and you'd have that expressive movement on the opposite side. Now, we don't have that because we don't have Diaby anymore. So the only other option you've got out on that right is to have a right back that can overlap your winger. And we're not getting that, because for how good Konsa protects the ball, which I think he's brilliant at doing it, and I think he's pretty solid, when he ventures into this area, you lose that threat because Konsa isn't an attacking player. Konsa, if he got into this area or this area, he's not an attacking player. So he doesn't have the game to be able to offer that for Bailey out there. I thought in the first half, when Kamara was screening a little bit, we went back to what we were doing before, but at times we're still on that pendulum. We're not an out-and-out double pivot anymore either. So the protection isn't as solid, but I felt like Bailey did have protection in the first half. He was doing defensive work, but it's an issue out wide as well for me, because if we look at the general makeup of our team and of our system and what we're trying to do, once we get into this set position here and we've got the ball and it's Villa are fully set, we're fully functioning, we are knocking it around, it just looks very, very safe to me. It's very easy for the opposition to get set. It's easy for them to play against. And then once we've had the ball a little bit, we'll then play a risky pass in central midfield, which allows us to be turned over too much. I think that's a slight issue as well. When we've got Kamara and Tielemans, in those areas that are trying to force and pick that pass and play a line splitting pass. We need more movement from Ramsey. We need more movement from Rodgers. We need more movement from Bailey. But we also need to get it out quickly to them as well. We need to play that risky central pass out wide and allow them to be expressive and allow players to get into the box as well. And I think if we have a look at Maatsen had 70 touches in that game against Club Brugge. Bailey had 40. But in essence, they both should be doing the same thing. The output from Bailey should be quite high because Bailey is our winger. So if I know that when you're playing with a team and defenders will have more touches than Ollie Watkins because the further up the pitch you go, the more touches you're going to get. But we need to see that balance on both sides because both sides are offering the width for Aston Villa. So I really want to see more output from wide players. And I just want to see a quicker, higher tempo Aston Villa. And I think against someone like Liverpool, where we're going to have less of the ball, we're going to have to play that way anyway. We're going to have to play them on transition. So I just think there's a lot to ponder and a lot to think about. And I think it feels a bit strange that we've got pretty big squad now. And now we're having these teething problems. And I think personally, I've hit the nail on the head, to be fair. I think because we've got so many options, we focused on playing all the players, I think. And yes, we want to try and get players back up to speed. But I just think we've got to have that little bit of continuity within our team. If I have a little look, let's just have a quick little look at Liverpool's lineup against Leverkusen. So Liverpool's lineup, let's get it on the screen. So Liverpool's lineup against Brighton, the game before they played Leverkusen, was Tsimikas, Van Dijk, Konate, Trent, Gravenberch, McAllister, Gakpo, Szoboszlai, Salah, and Nunes. So if we have a little look at what their lineup was like against Leverkusen, I'm just trying to use this as a bit of an example. So I don't know what the answer is here, but so they've gone Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, Tsimikas, McAllister, Gravenberch, Jones, Salah, Diaz, and Gakpo. So they've took out Nunes for Diaz, haven't they? Jones, McAllister, and Gravenberch. And what was the midfield against Brighton? Jones, McAllister, and they've rotated Szoboszlai. So they've rotated two players. They've rotated Szoboszlai for Jones, Nunes for Diaz. Still at the make with pretty much the base of their team. So yeah, I think that's where I'm getting at. I think we've got to watch because the other thing is we rotated against Palace in the cup. So we rested Pau, rested Rodgers, rested Ramsey. So they all had a rest in that game. Digne had a rest. And then the Champions League game, we've then rested again. Ramsey, Pau, Digne. Onana didn't play in the cup. Onana didn't play Club Brugge. So, yeah, plenty to ponder, plenty to work on. I'm not worried in the sense of we're a bad team. I'm not worried in the sense of we're in trouble, etc. I always felt like my season prediction was for us to get European football, and I predicted us to get sixth. I think I predicted us to get sixth. But we've just got to, the players that are playing have grasped for opportunity. We've got to stick to the plan. We've got to believe a bit more because I've seen a little bit of stuff going around about no confidence. Now, if there's no confidence within that team, then I would be worried. I would be very, very worried if everybody's playing with no confidence when you're sitting sixth in the Premier League, level on points with fourth, and you're in the Champions League and you've only lost one game and there's no confidence within the team. That would be a big worry for me because it's not like we're scrambling around the bottom of the league. And you can say we've not been great for X amount of games, which is fair, but we're still level on points with fourth. So we need a bit of perspective on where we are in the league. You know, we're not a bad team. If it was a bad team, we'd be Wolverhampton Wanderers with 2 points bottom of the Premier League. Now we're not that team. We're sitting level on points with fourth. So I really wanted to do this one just to get it off my chest more than anything. There will be Liverpool episodes coming out over the next 2 days as well. So hopefully you enjoy both of those. Something a little bit different. Different is good. So cheers for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Up the Villa.